Hello. Hello, hello. Let me share this. So, we're going to get real. Really real. I'm going to do some strategic discussion. Because this is huge and this will help you. Particularly if you feel like you want to live a life of more purpose or you don't know what your purpose is. This is going to help. So let me just share this to make sure that people can see it. And then we will get into it. By the way, I was just moving the tripod and apparently there was a moth on it and the moth landed on my leg and it stayed there the entire time I walked to the kitchen to get a cup to put over the moth to take it outside. It was kind of gross. Moths are really big and hairy. If you don't have them where you are, they are really big. If you struggle with your purpose, watch this. Okay. So, sharing away. Great. One, done. Okay. Let me just make sure I can hear myself. I'll test my own volume. Yes, okay. So, I was talking to a really great friend today who's very familiar with my work. And brilliantly quoted me back, let me just get comfy here, brilliantly quoted me back my own work, which is always really helpful. It was actually the third time today somebody used my work on me. And I was like, all right, I get where this is going. I like it. So, and here is what, now I gotta raise that up again. Not loving that angle. There we go. Okay, so, and here's what he was talking about. And so I'm going to give you an overview of basic strategic planning concepts. Hey, Terry. An overview of basic strategic planning concepts, and then talk about what that means for you, how that applies to your life and your purpose. So, I don't know if you read my post on my personal page yesterday, and I can post it on my business page about being a strategist, but I'm a strategist by training. I've been a strategist for 10 years. Hello. And so many people, when they think strategy, what they really think is high-level action taking, and that's not exactly strategy. Strategy is vision work. And so I call myself now a soul strategist because I do work with people. So let me just get comfy, pull the blanket behind me. I do work with people right now that is on strategic level visioning at an individual level, which means for an individual, your highest level of vision is your soul's vision. So at a company, it would be your company's vision for what you're trying to accomplish in the world that you're creating through your business. But on an individual level, it's the world that you're creating through yourself. So we're talking about soul's level vision. And so big picture stuff, right? Vision, mission, big stuff, how we interact with the world. That is the strategic level. And where most people get hung up, I'll just describe the concepts first and then we'll apply it to your purpose. Where many people get hung up, where in fact most people get hung up, like 99.9% of people, even people who know this get hung up here, is when we go about doing something in our lives or planning or trying to get somewhere or trying to create goals, we create what in strategic planning terms are called resource-based goals. So we say something like, I want to be, I really want to create a new yoga studio. This was something when I moved to this area. I thought, okay, I want to create a new yoga studio. I want to be a yoga teacher. I want to have some sort of impact. But we've already determined our outcome based on the resources available to us. I'm a yoga teacher. I am certified in that. I can reach out to studios. So we've already limited our options based on how we've actually even defined the problem and the outcome. And so when many of us say we want to achieve something, we don't go to the level of vision, which is the level that actually draws up resources and inspiration and pulls all sorts of things together, create magic. We go to the level of resource-based planning. And resource-based planning is looking around at all the things you have and trying to cobble them together into something that works. And you can hear the limitation in that, right? If we're just looking at what you have, if we're just looking at your skills, if we're just looking at your talents, if we're just looking at your network, if we're just looking at what you've done before, if we're just looking at your qualifications, then we're only imagining as far as what those things already are, right? So say, and let me just play the whole thing out. Versus thinking of a vision. What do we actually want to achieve? What is the end goal that we want to see? And then allowing for that to creatively unfold itself, regardless of what that looks like and all the different things that it needs, right? It brings magic to the table. It brings possibility to the table. It brings things we don't know about to the table, because we're not basing our outcome solely on what we already have. We're basing it on what we want the outcome to be, and then we'll allow for it to work out in ways that perhaps we could not have foreseen. So when you go to think about your purpose, most of us are doing a basic planning problem. We're having a basic planning blunder of resource-based planning your own purpose. Meaning you're thinking about purpose in terms of outcome, in terms of job title, in terms of actions, based on actions you already understand, and what you might call like containers or concepts that already exist. Accountant, nurse, yoga teacher, right? So we have this framework in our head, business owner. We have a framework in our head of what it might look like, teacher, stay-at-home parent, of what your purpose might look like in action, and what we might define as your role. But defining your role is resource-based planning, right? It's resource-based planning. So it's taking this massive thing, your soul's purpose, and putting it into a context that's actually like a title or a container or a resource. So we're not able to get excited about that, and we might not be able to pour all of our energy into it, because really we're just pouring all of our energy into an assumed resource or an assumed role. And that's not very inspiring. It doesn't bring out the best in us. It doesn't allow us to grow and expand. It doesn't allow us to learn new skills. It doesn't allow us to have miracles unfold and like magically line up with things that we could never have imagined to become even more than we are. It just limits us. And so if you're in a place of really struggling with your purpose and you feel like nothing really fits, chances are you're doing resource-based planning with your purpose, which is you're looking around at options and trying to fit into one of them. Or you're looking around at your skill set and trying to define yourself and your purpose through what you already have, your resources. But that's just the backwards way to go about it, right? And we don't want to get stuck in resource-based planning because it's inherently limiting, and it's always going to drive us crazy. It's always going to feel not enough when it comes to the level of the soul. And if you run a business, take note, it's never going to be enough for your business either, right? And what this came out of is, if you don't know me, I used to work for the U.S. government, and I did a lot of big level full government planning to help with crises, domestic crises, international crises. And what would happen a lot of the times, I'll just give a silly example, say that the UK was falling apart, like a crazy example, right? Like obviously not happening. Say the UK was in the middle of a giant war and was absolutely falling to pieces, and the US came together and was like, well, as a country, we've got $10 million over there in the Marines, and we've got $5 million over here in child immunizations, and we've got a couple $100 in clean water, and FEMA can do some stuff, right? Let's go help. Now, like, that's not a good way to achieve a solution in something as complex as a country falling apart, right? Throwing a couple different resources at it isn't going to get us anywhere unless those resources are the right resources to help us achieve something. So we have to do strategic visioning, the strategic piece, right? The higher level visioning to say, what do we really want to achieve here? And then we bring all of our resources to bear to help ourselves move towards the goal. So when it comes to being ourselves, we all have blind spots, right? So we all have way more capacity and resources than we give ourselves credit for, but we can't see them because what we're doing is saying, well, I've got this little talent over here and this skill over here in 3 hours that I can use, and I know these people, so how can I create a fulfilling and meaningful life for the rest of my life out of that? Obviously it doesn't work, right? Like obviously it doesn't work. We can't possibly have lifelong fulfillment, growth, advancement, soul level expansion when we're cobbling together a solution from what we already have. And instead, what I encourage you to do, and the work that I do with people, is we flip to the visioning. We flip to the highest level vision, which is your soul's vision of the world. And I have a specific process that I take people through to get at what is your soul's vision, which gives us what is your highest level purpose. And when we're at that level of purpose, meaning the vision, what we want to achieve, what we want to bring to the planet, what we stand for, who we stand for, who we are in ourselves, and all the different ways that could come out, whether that's through conversations with people, through our job, through volunteering, through our relationships, through how we hold ourselves, through the knowledge and the knowledge we share. All of those are expressions of your purpose, right? They're expressions of your purpose, but they are not your purpose itself. Your purpose is this higher level vision. It's what your soul is holding in the world, and it's what your soul is trying to create. Strategic level vision, not resource-based planning, which is what most of us think of our purpose. What is the specific expression that I can be? The job, the role, the thing that I capture in a cute and neat title, right? That can never hold the fullness of your soul. It can never hold the fullness of your soul. And it certainly can't hold the fullness of the meaning and fulfillment that you're looking for, because it's just one of the ways that you can express your purpose. But it is not the entirety of getting at the vision. And I want to talk about it from one more angle too. And hopefully you're following me. I know we're talking about strategic concepts here. So, hey Dan. So I want to talk about it from one more angle. And if you're just joining, you'll have to go back and watch from the beginning. I'm going to make this one a little short so it's easy to digest. So the other angle I want to take it from is that many of us get stuck. So if you're just joining, we're talking about how we think of our purpose actually as like a role. Like it's this resource that we have that we're trying to fit ourselves into and get lifelong meaning out of it. That doesn't work. The other thing that happens, and the other strategic piece I want you to bring to your understanding of your purpose and your vision, is that your soul's vision is not made up of just your job. That is one resource that you bring to bear. Or just your way of being, or just the language that you choose, or just your how you hold yourself in the world, or just the types of relationships you have, or just the charities that you support. Those are all ways that you can fulfill your overarching vision. But one of them alone, in planning terms, is neither sufficient. Like all of these things that you choose have to be necessary. Each one of them has to be necessary, and together they have to be sufficient in order to fulfill the overarching vision. So when you go at your purpose thinking that your purpose is just a job, guess what? Yeah, a job is necessary, but it is not sufficient to achieve the overarching vision of your soul. It is not sufficient to achieve happiness, expansion, fulfillment, meaning on a deep soul level, because it's only one piece of the pie. There's all these other pieces. And that's like saying that your overarching goal or vision for yourself is you as happy and healthy. And then saying, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. Not even down here as like an action, right? Going to the gym is one piece, potentially, maybe even not for you, of being happy and whole and healthy. There's also how you eat, your relationships, how you feel about yourself, your mental health, your physical movement, your sleep, your spiritual life. All of those things go together to be the components that make up the vision of being happy and healthy. You see what I'm getting at? So each one of those items down here, it can only be there if it's necessary. If it's not necessary, don't do it, which is why when people are like at the new year, oh, I want to get in shape and be healthy, so I'm going to go to the gym. Well, we don't know if going to the gym is actually your definition of healthy. So like, hold up now, let's talk about this middle layer, this middle layer of planning of what do you actually mean by healthy, and is going to the gym going to accomplish that for you? Because if your version of healthy is that you feel connected to community and really fulfilled in your heart, then maybe you should go to church instead of going to the gym. Right? Like it might not be the right action. So that thing there has to be necessary in order to achieve the goal. But altogether, they also have to be sufficient. So when you look just at your job, am I being sufficient to reach the goal? We can't have big, giant gaps. And when you just focus on your purpose as your job or your role or your job title in the world, it's insufficient. It's insufficient to fulfill the depth of what you're here to hold. I use spokes on a wheel as an analogy for mother health. Mom is up. Yes, exactly. So this is a very similar concept, but it's a little bit hierarchical in the sense that there may be many pillars under your vision. And your soul's vision is what your soul is trying to create in the world. And these many pillars are all the different ways that you can express that purpose in the world. But one of them, your job, is not your purpose in and of itself. It's just one of the ways that your purpose can get expressed. And this book's all exactly. Perfect. So, 2 things about this from a strategic planning perspective. 1, we can get all gunked up in resource-based planning when we go into our purpose looking for a job title or a specific action that we can take. And that's what 99.9% of us do. I want my purpose to be a specific, definitive expression of my purpose, right? Give me what I'm supposed to do. But your purpose is what you bring through everything you do. It's how you do. It's who you are, and thus how you do everything you do. It's the meaning behind what you do. It's the context behind what you do. It's the depth behind what you do, right? What you do in specific matters much, much less than how you go about doing it from a purpose perspective. So the more important thing to ask when you're asking about your purpose is, what's your vision? What's your soul trying to create? What would be your ideal outcome on a soul level, like big level? Most of us can't get to that level of thinking by yourself. So if you want to go through this, reach out to me. I have a DIY process that you can do on your own. Or we could work together. Sorry, there's a little fly here. I wasn't trying to look away. Like bug central today. So I have the DIY process that you can go through that's a lower investment, or we could do it together. But the key is to think high level. What is your soul's vision? What is your soul's vision? Instead of getting stuck with, well, I'm good at math and I prefer to be alone, so I guess I'll be an accountant. That is never going to fulfill you on a meaningful level, because it's resource-based planning. It's looking at what you have, it's looking at your skills, it's looking at your network, it's looking at all those things and trying to cobble together something magical out of basically like a bunch of parts, right? And I talk about it like a magician. A magician has a top hat and a wand and a rabbit, and it's like looking at the top hat, wand, and rabbit and being like, all right, do magic, right? But they are conduits for magic. They are not the magic themselves. And the same is true with your purpose. Your job is not your purpose. It's a conduit for your purpose. It's a way that you can express your purpose and live it and learn it and move into it and deepen into it. But it is not your purpose itself. It's just one expression. So I hope that analogy of the magician helps, right? And if you missed the example about the UK, go back and listen to that, because that really hits it home. And the second piece is, so first, not to look at your resources and try to cobble a purpose out of them. That's resource-based planning instead of vision-based planning. We want to switch to vision-based planning. What is your soul's vision of the world? What is your highest level vision for the world? Not your life even necessarily. I don't want to hear white picket fence in Malibu kind of stuff. That's too low level, right? That's resource again, if not a little bit off. I want high level. What's the perfect world? What are you really trying to achieve? What do you really want to see? How do you really want people to feel? Big level stuff. And then we talk about all the different ways you can make that work. And that's the second piece, is all the different things that you're doing in your life. Your personal practice, your spiritual practice, your relationships and connections, your hobbies and community outreach and connection, your job. One piece of that, right? Your job was one piece of that list. All of your physical activities, all of these things come together, and each one of them has to be necessary, and all together they have to be sufficient in order to reach your goal. Your job alone is not sufficient to live your purpose. It's just a piece of it. It's just one piece, and it is not alone enough. So I want you to look elsewhere in your life about where your vision's showing up, about where you're living in integrity with what you want to create in the world and with who you want to be in the world. Because many of us, we might have the perfect job and be out of integrity personally with how we want to feel and be. Or we might be in great integrity in our personal lives and completely out of integrity in our job. So something's got to give there, but what we get stuck on is when we look at our job as the only way to express our purpose, there's too much pressure on it. There's too much pressure on it for us to look at it wisely and with that space that we need to be able to make changes. changes and adaptations. So I want you to look at the whole swath of everything you're doing and go, how can I express my purpose more fully in this environment, in this space, in this container, right? Because again, it's just the conduit for the magic that you are. It's the conduit for your purpose. It is not the holder of your purpose that's going to make the purpose in and of itself. It doesn't make the purpose for you. You are the purpose. You live the purpose through all of these different things. So vision first, live it through all of these things. Don't ask the things to create your purpose for you. They can't do it. They're just not capable. All of your tools and resources are not capable of creating your purpose, but they are capable of allowing you to live it in a very beautiful and full way. So 2 angles, a little bit of strategic smackdown on the difference between, what did I say? The difference between your soul purpose and what you think it is. Your soul purpose is the highest level vision that's living through all of these activities, not the things themselves. Not the thing like the job, not the thing like the personality. Those are the ways that your purpose shows up. Hope that helps. If you have any questions, drop them below. If you want the link to the DIY course, let me know. It goes through what your soul's vision is, what your purpose is, and a couple other steps, 3 other steps. If you want to talk to me privately, let me know. I do free calls just to help people get clear on like what is the next step and are we a good fit. So don't worry, you're not going to be like pressured into paying off the bat or anything like that. Lots of opportunity to talk to me, get clear on what's right for you. I gladly point people in other directions if we're not a good fit. But take this to heart, mull on it, chew on it, think about it, ask questions, argue with me all you want. I'm happy to talk about it and go back and forth and see where we can get to and have it make sense for you and put it in your context and your language, because not everybody thinks like a strategic visioner like I do. So let me know what you think and how it applies to you. Mwah.